Hey, everybody, welcome to the Spark. Hope you're doing fantastic on today. This is Coach David coming at you, and I am super excited to be able to share with you on today another lesson that I believe that will take you to another height, another level, give you what you need to build you up and get you there, as I like to say. Well, today I'm going to talk about the power of assumption. So go ahead and shout yourselves out, text somebody, something, let them know that Coach David is on and he's helping us develop and get to another level. Talking about the power of assumption, the power of an assumption. You know, many times I should say, I used to say, different things about assuming things and all of that. And why, I've said that, I really got to get a better understanding of what happens when we assume certain things, when we make an assumption. Because the word assumption, the root word there is to assume. And when you look at that, whatever you assume to be true or as truth becomes your reality. Now, that's very powerful when you think about it. Whatever I assume, whatever you assume to be true or is true, that becomes your reality. So there's nothing wrong with making assumptions, especially when you are looking at making a future dream your present fact or your present reality. So we're going to talk about that today. We're going to get into it. We're going to talk about this assumption. Shakespeare said when you do that, act as if the world were as you like it. In other words, he said assume the virtue. And so when you assume the virtue, you're acting as if the world is as you would like it. And then this is the powerful part, you make it that way. That's right, you make it that way. So now, what I want to deal with, though, I want to talk about you making an assumption and the power of that assumption. Oftentimes we make assumptions all the time. Now, here's what I'm really getting at. You assume certain things, but even deeper than that, I want you to assume the feeling of that thing. This is the way I say it. What would it be like if you had it that way right now? What would your feelings be? What would your reactions be? What would you be like? And so that's making the assumption that I'm talking about. Go ahead and assume that right now. Now, let's break it down step by step by step. I'm going to talk about it, and then I'm going to give you something I think that's going to really help push this over to the next level to where you're really working with it. All right. Here's how you really assume something. You have a desire, and you want that desire in such a way that it overcomes some other things that may be going on. All right. So in other words, you want it to be different than what it is right now. Now, what you have to do, you have to create this idea of the person that you want to be. I'm talking about you specifically. You have to create this idea. Now, the reason why that is so powerful is because you can create any idea that you desire. You really can. And I say it like this, with your imagination. Oh my goodness, it is unlimited. I forgot who said it, but somebody made a statement that says knowledge is good, but knowledge is limited in what we know. Your imagination, you can use your imagination and you can go to great depths, great leaps, great bounds. So with your imagination, you create this idea of the person you want to be. Then what you do, you assume that you are already that person. That is the powerful part. You make the assumption that you are already that person. Here's the next thing you want to do. You want to remain, you want to persist, you want to just stay with it, stay with your assumption. And I promise you, your assumption will become now your dominant feeling. That dominant feeling means that now I'm ready to attain. So I kind of walk you through a little process there. I said, number one, you have this desire of the person you want to be. You create an idea of that person. Get an image of it. Image imagination, because that was the third part I told you. Say, hey, you get this in your imagination. Then I tell you to persist in it. Just stay with it, stay with it, stay with it. It's going to become your dominant feeling. And here's why. Because anything that you persist in, anything that you stay in, that becomes your dominant feeling. Now, you may not be able to believe that this could happen for you. You may not be able to see how this could be. And one of the things that I will tell you, don't worry about the steps in the process and all that. You don't have, that's not for you to worry about, because things are going to come to you that you need in order to get that done. But it may not, it may not be there initially when you start. And that's okay. It doesn't have to be. Remember one time I told you about required action and inspired action? When you make this your dominant feeling, you're going to be inspired to do certain things. But you got to live it out by faith that this thing is already so. And faith without works is dead. So you will have the faith. You'll live in the assumption. It will become your dominant feeling. You're going to be inspired, not required, to do certain things. You go do those things that you're inspired to do. That's why I say, don't worry about how. Don't worry about the how. Just know this right here. I'm being inspired to do certain things. I'm going about doing those things, and my attainment of that idea person that I've stuck with and persistent with, the attainment is inevitable. It's going to happen. It has to happen. Now, let me say this right here. A couple things that I think are really key to this. What you desire already exists. You are attaining it. I'm going to say that again. What you desire, that job, that championship, that whatever it is, that significant other, the money, the car, those things already exist. Now, you would never be able to imagine it if it didn't exist. And the first signal of its existence is your imagination. I got you. I'm telling you, this is good. All right. So what you desire, it already exists. So you don't have to go and make something. You don't have to use any trickery. You don't have to cheat or do any of that kind of stuff. Why? Because it already exists. Now, because it already exists, you stay with it, stay with it, stay with it. It becomes in your life. Now, here's a very critical point that I think many people just miss. You don't think of it, the event, the moment, whatever you're desiring, you think from it. I'm going to say that again. You just don't think of it. You can't help but think of it, but you got to learn to think from it. What do I mean by that? You have to form it in your mind, the moment, the event, whatever you desire, you got to form it in your mind, and you got to let it occupy your mind. And that's where your imagination comes in at. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. And what you do, once you have this thing formed in your mind, it could be the event itself. You could see yourself with the man, I'm getting so tongue-tied, I'm so excited. You could see yourself with the car, with the dress, with the championship, whatever it is, you can see yourself with it. All right, in your imagination, you formed it the event as you desired it, and you just let it occupy your mind through your imagination, and your present world is going to develop. Things are going to come. You're going to be inspired to do certain things, and as you're inspired to do those certain things, that thing that you have held on to in your imagination, you persisted in it, you stayed in it, the attainment is yours. It already exists. And now what you're doing, you are just transferring it from wherever it is into your life. And watch this right here. Remember I said, you're making your future dream a present fact using your imagination, and that is showing up in your life. That's how it's done. And when we accept that, and when we understand that, and when we begin to walk in that, great and wonderful things start showing up in our lives. And people are asking you, how are you doing this? How are you making this happen? I'm telling you how you're doing it. You're doing it by faith. You're just walking it out by faith, which is what you're supposed to be doing. You're supposed to be living by faith. And not only that, you're living by faith, but also too, you're doing the work. See, that's where a lot of people get tangled up at. They want to live by faith and they don't want to do the work, or they feel like they got to go do this and go do this and go do this. Only do that which you're inspired to do. So whatever you're led to do, inspired to do, go do it. But remember, the key and critical point is don't just think of it, think from it. In other words, become it, the moment, the event, become that. Oh my goodness. And you do that just by forming the state, the moment, the event, whatever it is, and you just see it. I'm closing my eyes because you just see it over and over and over and over. And what's going to be what's going to become is your dream is going to become a fact. That's just the way it is. And that's the way it works. And when you do that, man, it gets good. That is the power of an assumption. Go ahead, assume it. Assume that feeling. That's right. Assume that virtue. That's right. Do it right now. I'm calling you out. Do it. Oh my goodness. And watch this right here. If it starts to get like, David, I don't know about this. Okay, start with something small. Back it off a little bit. Become very general in it. Just start with something small and watch how it grows. And what that's going to do, that's going to build up your faith muscle. Just like when you go in the gym, you don't start out unless, you're already there. You don't start out lifting, 40, 55, 50 pounds on a bar, on a curl. You may, but you may not. Okay, everybody's got their limits. Okay, like when I first went in there with my dumbbells, 25 bicep curls was pretty good. But then as I developed this, I got bigger, stronger muscles. Now I can go 35, 45, 50. And so what my point is this right here, that's how I want you to start, because you don't want to overload yourself. So start a little bit lighter. Start with something simple, just like, whatever, getting to work early or whatever the case may be. Start with something light and then build and build and build. And what you're going to do, you're going to prove the power of an assumption, and you're going to go for bigger and bigger and bigger and better things. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with you starting small and going for bigger things. And don't let anybody talk you out of it. No one. Don't let yourself talk you out of it. Boy, I can't wait. Them S's, man, here they come again. Self, your senses, situations of the past, people that, so don't let anything talk you out of it. You go get this and watch great and wonderful things happen in your life. Boy, I'm so glad that we got to spend this time together to talk about this. I know, man, it's great. It's awesome. And as we're sharing this together, we're moving in the right direction and we're getting things that happen in our life. So I want to close it out by saying, please, please, please share this with someone so they can understand how to make it work and they can get it going in their life, because believe me, there's enough for all of us. Yes, there is. There's enough for all of us. So put this out there, share it on your page, share it with somebody else and let them grow and develop too. But remember this right here. Remember this. I always close out with this because this is the truth. You are the architect of your life. Now, I'm teaching you how to do it, but you're the architect of your life. And I believe in you. I'll see you on next time. You have a good one. Bye.